This is Mommying While Muslim, recorded live and unedited. Watch as Zaiba and Uzma record their podcast, see their reactions, and find out for yourself what all the buzz is about.
This episode of Momming While Muslim is brought to you by 786 Cosmetics. At 786 Cosmetics, we believe that beauty products should be inclusive and designed for all to enjoy, regardless of spiritual or ethical beliefs.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Momming While Muslim podcast. This is Uzma Jaffrey.
And this is Zaiba Hassan. I am actually calling in from my phone today, so I'm hopeful that I don't look like a hot mess, but I probably do, and it's all good. It's a Friday, at least. It's a Friday.
Winter cute.
We have ice on the ground. My winter cute, and quite frankly, I was going to take my hat off, except, it's called static electricity, and it's really not a cute look. Okay? So I can't do that right now. So
we understand.
How have you been? I love your maroon hijab. It looks like, is it maroon?
It's purple.
So pretty.
Yes, I wore my favorite color today.
I'm colorblind on top of everything else.
Yep, absolutely. And I wore it, I hope Alvina Jaffrey, our style expert, is going to be happy with me because I tried to do it like she showed me how. Because, I've worn the same hijab style for 30 years, so.
Well, guess what? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's kind of my motto these days.
Yeah, I just wanted to change
Let's get it done. So how has your week been?
My week's been good. I just finished an appointment with my primary care physician, who I've seen after 6 years.
That's what we were hopeful for. Oh my God, Uzma.
Very excited. Good news. I'm going to get my labs drawn on Monday and find out a lot more. But it was a very good visit. Short, sweet, to the point. I knew what I wanted. I knew what I needed. And what I needed to address was that I have been down in the dumps. I know at the beginning of the year, I was like, what's the problem? I feel great. I haven't noticed a difference. And you know what I realized? It was when I stopped wearing pants that I didn't feel good anymore.
Oh.
And then when you stop wearing your pants, you start eating Cheetos and Nutella, and you can't put your pants on anymore because they don't fit. So, I've been really down in the dumps, and I'm clinically depressed. I'm positive on all of the screens. I'm a physician, and I know that. I identify, diagnose, and treat it all the time. And now I have to take a dose of my own medicine, and I am happy to do it. Mm-hmm. And I hope that my example destigmatizes mental health for you guys and tells you that all of us need the help. You treat blood pressure, you treat diabetes, you treat cancer, but for some reason, we don't want to treat our brains, which are also vital organs, and we have to keep the chemical balances in there straight. And so I'm praying that when I pick up my medication today, I will be on my way to straightening those hormones. All of you, I'm talking to you, who go to your doctor and ask for hormone checks. There's all hormones working in here, and they can get out of whack. So I'm going to whack them back in and hopefully be feeling better by the new year, inshallah.
Inshallah. I am so thankful that you finally made that step. I know that you and I have been privately texting every day. I'm like, girl, get up. Go for a walk around the block. Get out of bed. Let's do this. And the reality of the situation, put your pants on. And the reality of the situation is, I know I'm super thankful because when I was going through that, Uzma was one of those people that helped pull me back out. So that is one of the main things we want to do here on Momming While Muslim, is to provide you all an online reality check, like Uzma herself says. She diagnoses it for other people, but she herself didn't quite realize what she was going through, and that we do need each other, because there are going to be times where all of us need somebody to pull us up. And I'm so thankful that she was there for me. So the fact that she is going and getting the help that she needs makes me feel so much better. So I'm extremely proud of you for taking that step. Thank you. How convenient, considering this is Mental Health Month here at Momming While Muslim. And I'm so grateful that you can be an example for our listeners. Yes, he did.
Yes, absolutely.
There are
Thank you
no
so much for
accidents.
holding
Allah
my hand
makes
through the
no
process.
accidents.
No, everything is planned. He's the best of planners.
No, it
So
is my
your
pleasure, and
week,
I'm so excited. My
totally.
week has been helping you, which is always a good thing. So, like, my week has been helping Uzma, and honestly, like, we're just
Prioritizing.
at that down in the dumps thing, and this, of course, like, and yelling at her and being like, "Get up and let's do this." And put the Cheetos down. Like, you need
I did. I
somebody to
didn't even
tell
buy
you
them
that
this week.
sometimes. Good. See, that makes me feel so good because we all have those moments. But yeah, my week has been pretty much, dealing with my own children, trying to get to the end of the semester. As I'm homeschooling too, and the other two are doing virtual. Weirdly enough, the older two are actually starting basketball and have been practicing. And, not that it's normal by any stretch of the imaginations. They have to wear masks and all that. It's a very different world from this time last year. But my kids are very big on the physical aspect of healthcare and health. And so the fact that they are back to working out a couple hours a day, I think that will really be helpful for them because I know it's definitely helpful for myself. Because as everybody knows, I'm on my own health journey, and 6 days a week, 90 minutes a day, I've been doing, and it does definitely feel good and feel better. But we all have those days. Like this morning, my younger two woke up. It's kind of cold and icy and gross outside. I was like, guess what? You don't want to go to school? Go read, go play, do Legos. And that's what we did today. So sometimes we all need mental health days, and that's what I did today. That's been my week. And like you've now been the highlight of my week. So I am super, super thankful for that. But do you want to talk about our soapbox for today?
Our soapbox is really quick because we're on a little bit of a time crunch, and I don't want to get into the big thing that I had on schedule. So I'll just move that to next week, and it has to do with podcasts. So you will want to tune in next week to hear it. But what happened to me literally yesterday on a Facebook friends page, she posted for prayers for her friend who was struggling with COVID. And the friend responded in the comments and said, "Yeah, I'm fighting this China virus, and pray for me. I'm going to beat it." And
Mm-mm.
I was like, is this for real? And then I got so angry and I created a graphic with that comment. And I was like, yeah, no, I won't pray for racists. And I don't think anybody should pray for racists. And you know
Mm-hmm.
what? If you're a really good friend to that racist friend, you're going to tell them, sister girl, you a racist. And I want to empower all of you to call out the racism in your immediate circles. It's going to hurt. It's not going to feel good, but it needs to be done because you're silent. Your silence is complicit in the racism, in the aggression against any other people. And that is not God's way. And God will not bless you with health. And I will not be praying for your health. I'm sorry. I'm a healthcare provider. And do you think I'm happy that all of these anti-maskers and conspiracy theorists are the first ones to get in line for a COVID vaccine? Oh, no, I am not happy. I do not want them to get the vaccine. I want them to get COVID again. So, yeah, maybe that makes me a small, petty person. But I'm telling
Uzma.
you, if you want to be an ally, call out the racists in your immediate circles and do not let them perpetuate the racism and the otherism that is rampant in your circles, because your silence leads to murder. I promise you it does. It is doing it right now. That's my soapbox for today.
I definitely appreciate your soapbox, but the one thing I do want to point out is we should always pray that people's minds become open, and perhaps your exchange with her will make her think and hesitate to think those types of thoughts in the future. So we should still pray for these people because they do need enlightenment, and may God grant them the space and the mind to be open to some of their shortcomings.
Amen. But what I'm saying is we don't have a
I mean,
tradition
that
of
is
turning
my,
the other cheek
I
and please,
know.
sir, may I have another. We fight oppression
You're
wherever it
you're
is. And I
right.
think this is a form of oppression. You're my Sophie sister, but I'm your like warrior queen
I
sister, and
know.
I'm going after him. So I did not post
Exactly.
the
And
graphic.
and that's the truth of it. Like if we okay, good. But if we can't correct the people that we love the most, I agree with what you're saying, then there is no hope for humanity. And that is why we need Mental Health Month at Momming While Muslim. So I know we're going to be talking about extremely important topic today. I do not have my notes in front of me, so I am going to ask Uzma to so graciously introduce this next person coming on today, because quite frankly, I have my notebook and I'm ready to
She's
take
ready to
notes.
take her notes. That is awesome. So, we are continuing this
Mhm.
month's series on mental health. And so far, we've addressed both childhood anxiety and the state of mothers' emotional cups that you heard last week. This week, we're going to focus on teens specifically. So, not just all our children. The teen population is a very special population for those of us who remember those very special years that we all experience. So, Zeba in particular can speak a lot about this, but joining us today is Summaya Poonah, Head of Operations at NASEEHA Mental Health, a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting communities and individuals towards achieving positive mental health. They have a hotline that is open 7 days a week for Muslim teens to call or text for help and speak to a trained counselor. You don't even have to be, it started in Canada, but it's available in North America. I don't think you guys, most people that I have spoken to don't even know that this existed. I feel like I've been sitting on a treasure box for the last over a year and a half, because when I first found out about NASEEHA was spring of 2019, and I thought, oh my gosh, where were they in those years for me? So they do a lot of amazing work, and so we are so pleased to introduce Summaya today. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for joining us.
Salam. Thank you guys for inviting NASEEHA and having me join this conversation today.
Yeah. I hope you didn't feel stalked by me over the last few weeks. Like, come on, please come talk to us. We really want you on.
No, I think it's a wonderful opportunity and a great platform. I think the work that you guys do is so important. And I'm part of a lot of mommy groups, so I think they certainly add value to the mom experience, because it's so easy to just kind of like fall into this hole at home, and get lost in like translation between work and home and grocery stores. So it's nice.
Yes, the grocery store. Absolutely. So we usually have our guests tell us a little bit about their mom story, how many kids they have, what are their ages, and their approach to mommying.
Yeah. So I have 3 children. My eldest is 11, and her name is Asia, and a 7-year-old girl, and she is, just a very different personality from Asia, but special in her own way. And then I have a 1-year-old, and he is my first son, and in many ways, like the love of my life, but different work commitments, a different phase of life, and how I mommy. I think I'm a convert, so I come from a very traditional Christian family, and it was a bit of a challenge in the beginning, because I had a very tight knit family experience growing up, and I wanted that experience for my children as well. But I had severed ties with that community, and so there were repercussions that I had to kind of respect. And things have absolutely sort of changed with my parents since then. But in terms of what I wanted for my kids, I wanted our house to always be a safe space. I wanted to kind of like be able to have them be raised with a strong foundation and a strong sense of identity, and to kind of navigate like every challenge that life threw its way.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah. That sounds awesome. And I'm so glad that
Alhamdulillah, that sounds great. Yes, because that is one of the revert or convert's life experience, right? It's the balance of trying to figure out how to keep our past lives and kind of collaborate that with our current lives. So kudos to you for trying to make that work. I definitely appreciate it. And with 3 kids under the age of 11, like good for you. And I would not go back to the new babyhood if you paid me. So like that's not happening. But the one thing I really, Summaya, wanted to talk about was the history of NASEEHA, because I feel like this is such a valuable contribution to our community, because like Uzma mentioned, like when I was a teenager, there were so many things I wanted to ask or talk about or reach out to, but I didn't feel like I had a platform or a place where I could do that. So can you tell us a little bit about how NASEEHA started? And first of all, I would like to put the number up on the bottom if we can, so people know that this is something that we can call.
Yeah.
If not, we have it in our show notes.
My husband is actually one of the founders of the organization, and he went to an Islamic school or a private school for elementary school, and then he transitioned into the public school system. And that was a bit of like a steep learning curve for him. And, just as you guys have kind of alluded to, there are challenges like in navigating that experience of being Muslim while growing up in the West. And he really wanted to kind of, after he sort of emerged from university, provide this opportunity for young people to just have access to another resource, like other than the national sort of helplines, where there was this sort of understanding and comfort. I think, there is a level of trust that's established between the callers and the counselors, where they can discuss whatever issues they face. In the early sort of years of NASEEHA, people would call about what dua to read, like before an exam, for example, or about parental issues. And what we've seen in like the evolution is, as people sort of continue to reach out to the organization, their needs changed, and so our recruitment had to change. And I actually helped to establish the Education and Outreach Division, which was really started in response to a disconnect happening between the voices being amplified in the community and the trends that were emerging from the data that we were able to collect through the helpline. So we had young people calling about their own personal health, about, and I don't want to censor myself too much here, but things like pornography. And then from our community, people were taking their children out of health class. And so I really wanted to encourage parents that if they were going to be taking their kids out of health class, that now the onus of responsibility falls on them. And
you should do it.
But let's equip them with talking points and practical tips and strategies so that our children are not left to navigate, like just a plethora of media being thrown at them without some grounding or basis from their family unit.
That's awesome. So wait, how long has NASEEHA been around?
Yeah, so it's been around since my goodness, I think 2007.
SubhanAllah, I didn't even know it was around that long.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and our operational hours have expanded. So we went from Monday to Friday, 6 to 9, to now we're 7 days a week, 12 to 9, and now we also offer text support. We've also ran 3 series of group therapy sessions in 2019. And we're now offering web therapy for people who qualify due to a financial need, because we have identified that there is a financial barrier for our community, and so we need people to have access to trained professionals and experts in the field, and our experts in the field are happy to support our community having access to these resources. So we're just sort of a bridge for all of it.
I love that. That is really, because it's not just the hotline, you also have the follow through. So if a
Yes,
teen needs help, you connect them. Can you
absolutely.
explain how that works?
Yeah, for sure. So if, someone calls from Chicago in the US, and I think in 2020, just around 41% of our calls were from the US alone. So even though we're based here in Canada, we can connect you with local clinicians in Chicago to make sure that you have access to people who can support you with more long-term resources and plans. And, you know, we have repeat callers as well. So if none of those options work for you, we're always there in the event that you just need someone to validate some of what you're going through, or listen and be a sounding board, and maybe, walk you through different perspectives of the circumstances that you're kind of being faced with.
No, that's absolutely wonderful, and why I feel like it's such a need in our community, because some of that mainstream therapy, which is, I'm still not knocking it, but the cultural nuances,
Yeah,
our
for
own
sure.
personal life experiences, things that are only our particular people in our community understand, are not really talked about in mainstream therapy. So the fact that this is there as a platform for these teenagers, where they're like, listen, I can talk to somebody that understands my life experience. I don't have to explain the fact that, my moral structure or my family structure is the way that it is. It's such a
Absolutely.
valuable asset to our community. So I really, really appreciate that. The one thing I do want to ask, having teenagers myself, do you find, and I'm just going to be honest about this in the sense that
Absolutely.
pre-COVID, post-COVID, do you
Yeah.
find that there's an increase in calls to your organization during this COVID period of time? Because I really am concerned for that mental health piece for our teenagers. Like I think Dr. Chaudhry mentioned, and that really resonated with me. She was like, listen, it's that age group, this adolescent, 12, I think, through 18 was what she said, like the way that they connect through people, this is very important for their cognitive development. And the fact that they're not getting that type of experience, it can be detrimental to their mental health in the future. So I'm curious to see what you guys are seeing during this time period.
Yeah. So we have absolutely seen a volume increase. That being said, what we've been able to track is a significant increase in text support, because I think what's happening is people don't have a lot of privacy, right? And so they're calling from home while people are working from home, and while you have different generations living in the same household, and it's really hard to kind of like find that opportunity for privacy or reflection. So we have like just spikes in our tech support, and then with crisis calls as well. So last year around this time, we had 4 calls that were crisis related, where they had to be escalated. This year, within the first week of December, we were already at 4 calls. So those are dangerous trends. And we have worked with different communities in the past where they've just had rashes of suicides, and one suicide occurs within a community, and then all of a sudden there are copycat cases. So that's something, we really want to keep an eye on. Another sort of really important piece worth mentioning is, in the past, we could kind of speak very anecdotally about what challenges different communities face in terms of access to care. But there's a lot of important research coming through. And what we're finding is that women, specifically at that intersection of being Black and Muslim, or wearing the hijab and going to their healthcare providers, and not to knock healthcare providers, they have absolutely been essential allies in this process, but there are gaps that exist, and we're starting to analyze where we can be better. And part of being better and customizing solutions for communities is being able to offer, linguistic considerations in that support, or having solutions that align with our faith. And, our faith can be, we can allow it to be an opportunity for strength. So we use that. But that being said, at NASEEHA, we don't introduce that aspect of faith until it's initiated by the caller, because we do recognize, that even though we have just under 25% of the calls coming in about spirituality, not everyone has that positive sort of relationship with their faith. And it's something they're trying to kind of like figure out still. So it's important for people to not feel a sense of pressure or judgment in that sphere as well.
I hear that. I think that's super important. And I have so many questions, but what I'm thinking, because my oldest is 12 and I'm feeling like I'm looking down the rabbit hole right now. NASEEHA has one of the arms that you provide is education as well. So in terms of, while we're kind of in this pandemic limbo with our children, how can we help them cope, besides offering the hotline and giving them the magnet? And look what I have all the NASEEHA. I have all of your bookmarks over here with your 1-800 number on them. I don't know if it's available on your website, but I'm just gonna, one of these says Hajar. And obviously at Mommyingwhilemuslim, we love our first mother, Hajar. And it says she dealt with helplessness, alone in the desert. So you can see the Zamzam well. Our mother, Asiya, who I believe you named your daughter after. She was married to Fir'aun, so peer pressure is what she dealt with. And then Prophet Isa, his name is on here, but I think it should be Maryam, our mother Maryam. He was raised by a single parent. So, they have all of these on the prophets and stuff. So it's just really helpful. I can give these to my kids, as this is something that you can do to cope when you reach a point where I'm not your resource anymore. But in the meantime, what coping skills can we teach them to deal with this isolation, to deal with some of the angst and the losses that they've been dealt this year?
Absolutely. I think, it really starts by having honest conversations with them and being honest about how you're feeling, and in a way that's age appropriate ultimately, right? We don't want to like burden 6-year-olds. But I think it's important for them to understand that we're all feeling the weight of this experience. And so, how about we talk about ways to build resilience and to focus on your strengths and the areas that you have control over, right? Like, you can brush your teeth, you can go for walks to feel fresh, and to control, again, those aspects of life that you can. You can do things like art. You can do things like creative writing. And then we as parents, we have to emulate that behavior too, right? Like, we can't tell our children to go for walks and to write in diaries or paint if we're not actively trying to do them ourselves, and our children are not seeing us doing it, right? And they're not. I think part of this pandemic is also knowing when to sign out of social media and sign in at home and be present and be mindful, right? Of like all of the eyes and ears that are being exposed to what we're doing. So what I try to do with my kids is spend an hour or two a week with each individually, because I think as moms, we can get so busy. And we don't even realize that these kids are really craving our attention, right? And they really need us now more than ever. And so you set the tone, whether it's reading from our sacred texts or like watching. We've gotten into the habit of watching a cereal together. We've been watching Ghost Rider as a family, as silly as that sounds. And they call it an Apple original, but we had this show on one of our channels in Canada like 2 decades ago. But you know what? I found that our children really look forward to spending time with us, you know, and their peers look to my husband as like the cool dad. And I think, you know, my kids value that. But you're only as good as you are to them, in my book, at least. And I think, you know, your children will sort of show or be a reflection of what things are like at home behind closed doors. So you want it to be beautiful and you want it to be based in peacefulness, right?
100%.
I hope that helped.
I definitely appreciate that. Yeah, no, I definitely appreciate that.
And role model is always helpful.
Yeah, and the one thing that people have, like, when the moms take care of themselves, you know, when you're at a place of peace within your own self, I think that does trickle down to the kids. And I know we don't have too much time, but the one thing I did want to point out was there is we talked to the founder of Dream Journal, and you're talking about journaling. And one of the things that we've been doing, and I got this idea from Sola, one of our lifestyle guru, is that we focus on the gratitude aspect. Like, what are we actually grateful for? To your point, there are certain things we cannot control, but what we can control is our mindset, how we think about things, how we choosing to think about things. And yeah, we can have grumpy days and we can be angry or whatever, but the truth of the matter is that we woke up, we're healthy, we love each other, and perhaps that should shape the way that we view things. Speaking of, as the person on the panel with 2 teenagers currently right now in the thick of it, the one thing I do want to point out to parents is that, to your point, Summaya, when they're younger, they love and crave your attention, but guess what the older kids do too? And you might think that we're going to start taking a step back, they want to be independent, but the truth of the matter is they still want your cuddles, they still want your hugs, they still need your attention, even if it's not the way that they would traditionally, like my younger 2 crawl into my lap and they're all over me. But sometimes I just sit with my daughter and we watch TikToks together and we do things like that. Or my older son, where he's playing video games and I kind of just come in and like rub his head and then walk away. Like, they definitely appreciate those types of things. So I want parents to understand, to be mindful. They might be prickly, but they're still really cute underneath. So I just want to know right now, this is such an amazing organization. How can we help you with your funding? Where do you get your funding from? And where can we find you so that we can make sure that this is a continued success for our community?
Oh, so I mean, you've made some yes, really great points.
I want the bookmarks. I feel left out. I want the bookmarks.
I know. You know what? If anyone wants the bookmarks, they can email info@naseeha.net. And we will try our best to provide materials to whoever would like them. And then, you know, we typically come to conferences. Last year, we were at MassCon in Chicago, and it was an amazing experience. And I can't wait to come back once the border opens. And in terms of, inshallah, I mean, if you guys want to kind of check out our website, follow us on social media. We're funded by generous donors and, you know, like partnering agencies, grants in the community. It really is a bit of a hustle to kind of meet those demands, but our community needs it, you know, like that's really what keeps me going at night is the call logs and the people who rely on us to be there when they call. Our service is operational 365 days a year, you know, whether it's Eid, whether there's like snow or like there have been treacherous circumstances, let me tell you. But I'm happy to say that, you know, I take pride in our helpline and tech support never being down, and us trying to ensure that when a young person is kind of going through whatever struggle they face, whether it's with regard to their self-image or substance abuse. Like, these things happen in our community. And
yes,
we want to make sure that people are not cutting themselves, or they're not feeling like there's nowhere to turn. So, it's important.
And we just want to expand those services and get them 24/7. That takes money because you have to train the staffers, you have to get those trained counselors there to receive the phone calls. So it's, I believe, the hashtag is here for you.
That's
FOR.
right.
Here for you. And we will have all of the links to NASEEHA on our show notes. So we really urge you guys to get that information and just spread it around the house. I had to go collecting these through various rooms because these came in the move with me. Like, I threw away a lot of stuff. I brought all my bookmarks. Like, I have fat stacks of them because I spread them out in our library, in the children's rooms. No, they don't have phones, but they are sneaky little boogers and they can access them. They will figure it out. And I'm like, if you feel like you are being abused or neglected, or mom and dad are missing something, you have safe adults right here. And our job is to create an army of safe adults, Muslim and non-Muslim, for our children. That's what we're doing. NASEEHA's doing it. Please support them and get this information to your little hands and to the hands of the children and teens that we love. Thank you so much.
I mean, we've absolutely had young children, between the ages of 11 to 18, go to a friend's house to call the helpline, and there are young kids who are really, we've had to involve, like, it's challenging, right? Like, there are cases of abuse, sexual and otherwise, that exist. And we want to make sure that our kids feel like they can reach out to us. And as you said, like, safe adults that can get them to the help that they need in a way that they can understand.
Yeah, it's not a failure on our part. It is our job and our duty to create that army of safe people. So thank you for being one of those safe people and that safe organization for our kids in our community. And we want this to be an ongoing relationship with NASEEHA because we all need it. We all need NASEEHA.
Yes, absolutely. I remember when we started doing this work, a lot of community members felt like we were an organization specifically for the fringe. And I was like, am I a fringe individual? Maybe, I don't know, right? But then, subhanAllah, like, then all of a sudden it was the imam's son, or it was somebody's daughter, right? Like the auntie at the masjid's daughter. And it started to saturate and hit closer to home than anyone was expecting. And, we probably don't do as good of a job in marketing as we can, because we're trying to be discreet. We're trying to conceal our faults. And ultimately, I do feel like the solutions exist both within our community and beyond, right? And help is out there. For anyone who asks, not to quote Harry Potter, but it is, I say it to my kids all the time, right? Like, I'm counting on you to reach out when you need it, because part of getting that help is that buy-in, right? And I'm going to need your participation in order to kind of move us into a space of wellness here. It's going to take some heavy lifting, but we're capable of it.
We definitely 100% are, and we think, and as a community, and we've got this, and like you said, we're here for you with NASEEHA.com and with Mommyingwhilemuslim. And thank you again, Summaya, for joining us today. And until next time, everybody, this is another episode of Mommyingwhilemuslim, and inshallah, we'll see you next week.
Inshallah. Thank you guys again. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for watching this episode of Mommyingwhilemuslim, brought to you by 786 Cosmetics. Our halal nail polishes are also certified vegan and cruelty-free by PETA.